Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Today we are back with another installment of Pred-ictions Mark, where we speculate on aspects of Division 2 during this drought of information while we have to wait for the DZ reveal in December. Today we've got open world, story, and raids as our topics. Starting with open world, I've got pretty high hopes here. I think that Massive really took note that players enjoyed exploring the vast open world that Division 1 had to offer, but it just became too boring at a point because there's simply nothing to do in it. To try and condense my many thoughts for the open world in Division 2, let's start by saying that I think safe houses will be replaced with civilian settlements that we've been told about, and I hope that these settlements serve as a bit more of a hub for each zone, more so than safe houses did for the first game. It would be neat if each settlement had an NPC offering a variety of quests like complete X number of objectives or kill X number of faction members, etc. Completing these quests would offer a boost in reputation bar, allowing you to buy better and better items being sold at said settlement each week. This would provide a much more dynamic system to vendor resets, in the sense that you need to come back each week and fill up the reputation bar by interacting in each zone to buy what the vendor has to offer. It's a much more engaging process. And as for what activities I think will be in the open world, we already know of control points, and I think things like HVTs would be cool to return, perhaps if they were structured a little bit differently, and some form of treasure hunting with clues to find a rare chest would be a cool addition to the open world. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot more than that. Whatever the devs have planned should be pretty awesome. Moving on to story, the only story hints that we have so far is that our job is to save DC from being enveloped in chaos, help the civilians rebuild and defend their settlements, and then additionally the tease of a civil war from the reveal trailer, and we've been told that Aaron Keener will be returning. While that's not much to go on, and my predictions have no basis, here's what I think would be a cool storyline. Although we don't have confirmation, let's just say there are 4 factions like in Division 1, and these factions are void of the threat of the green poison since it's fizzled out in the 7 months since the outbreak, and they are carving up and fighting for the DC area. The civilians residing in settlements are defending their newfound homes, and our job is to help them rebuild and neutralize the threat. So, we arrive and begin liberating various historical sites and establishing our base and connection with these settlements. During our campaign of storming the entirety of DC, we begin to notice strange things that the factions are doing, almost like they're pawns in a bigger game. The big reveal in the end, Aaron Keener has been manipulating all of the factions to do his bidding, for a malicious plot that I have no clue what it could be, and that the final mission would be an all-out war in the National Mall and around the reflecting pool leading up to the Lincoln Memorial. I think this would be an awesome story and a great way to bring back Aaron Keener. Tying right into the story, we have the raid. Now, I'm just going to speculate on what the raid will be about story-wise, and what kind of boss fights or mechanics we might see. Trying to speculate on loot we might get or stuff like that seems a little bit pointless at this point, given what little info we have. Alright, so, I think that at the end of the story we'll end up shutting down Keener's imminent plot, but he'll be in the wind, until, drumroll, he makes a final showdown in the raid. Based on the gameplay reveal trailer back at E3, I think that the raid will be taking place in and around the Capitol building. This is because the devs made sure to stress that the control point and the gameplay we see in the demo is post-level 30 and post-campaign, so that we could get a greater sense of the broadened endgame experience. At the end of the demo, the squad all groups up and says they're ready to take the Capitol building back before charging at the Capitol building itself, with a retaliation of an insane amount of gunfire ensuing. So, the Capitol building reclamation must happen separate from the campaign, since these agents were already done with it, and the amount of defenses and turrets makes me think that this will be a large-scale battle. So, I think that Aaron Keener and his followers will be posted up in the Capitol building, and we will need to stop him for good. The raid starts with our 8-man squads and dozens of civilian helpers from the settlements rushing the courtyard established by the massive walls and defenses, and the first mini-boss fight will occur in this initial siege. I'd imagine this encounter will be few on mechanics, most likely just a huge battle with our team having to kill several waves before the boss comes out. Maybe we can use some of the turrets to take him down, stuff like that. Once we claim the outside, now it's time to proceed inside. Now, I've never been to DC, hence I've never been to the Capitol building, so I don't know the layout, but I think it would be really cool if the whole inside has been booby-trapped and we have to navigate through this dark and dangerous maze that Keener has set up. Maybe we use our drones for reconnaissance, like sending them through ventilation shafts to activate doors, cool stuff like that. So when you find your way through the interior to enter an underground labyrinth that Keener is holding out in. Now, maybe this would be the final boss fight, or maybe there's one before Keener, but either way, I think that Aaron Keener will be the final raid boss. Now, what will this fight contain? What defenses? What mechanics? I have no clue. Somehow, I think it would most likely relate to the plot he had in motion in the campaign, but to be completely honest, I have no idea what it will be. One idea I had a while ago, which is quite far-fetched but would be quite awesome, is that somehow we'll enter a simulation capsule or some sort of holographic projection, and we'll be inside of Central Park. How awesome would that be? We've all waited a long time and it never came around in Division 1, but now that the Snowdrop engine for Division 2 can do angled terrain and nature, the devs are able to implement it and have the final raid battle take place within. What it could be, I don't know. It would make sense story-wise. We've never found Keener in New York, and so perhaps we discover he has been hiding and plotting in Central Park all along. Who knows? But this idea of a massive fight taking place in Central Park surrounded by trees, body bags piling higher than the trees themselves, snow everywhere, lakes, it could really be awesome. While I can't say specifics since I don't have a clear fight laid out in my mind, I think that some possible overall mechanics will include various specializations taking on certain roles. For example, there needs to be 2 sharpshooters staying back and killing a grenadier when he spawns before blowing the whole room up, or the demolitionists need to destroy an objective within a certain time frame. Regardless of what the raid contains, I'm sure that splitting up into 4-man teams to do complementary objectives will happen at some point, since 8 people is a lot to balance the whole raid to. Alright guys, those are all the topics for today. Sorry if this one is a bit heavy into the speculation. Most of this stuff has little to no information on it, so most of this is just what I'd like to see. I think the next predictions mark will revolve around PvP, but if there's any other topics you want to hear about, be sure to comment them down below and I'll be sure to fit them in. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And until the next one, RogueGold, out.